What up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me today to explore another topic that is going on within the world of YouTube. Recently, that girl Shay XO, or Shay, posted a video to her YouTube channel exploring the hypocrisy in the way that men and women are treated, and in particular, the way that they are treated in the beauty world. Her main focus was kind of the discrepancy in the consequences that Jeffree Star and Jaclyn Hill have separately faced for their transgressions. And essentially what it came down to was the fact that, yes, Jaclyn Hill has done multiple bad things, but are the things that she did worse than what Jeffree Star has done? Because Jaclyn was exiled from the community essentially for quite a bit of time, and people still really don't trust her. You know, she has her dedicated fans, but as a whole, we're all a little bit skeptical of her. We're not super anxious to buy from her or her collabs, and she's just kind of looked down upon, not only in the beauty sphere, but just in general. And while yes, she should face repercussions for her actions, is the level of hate and criticism that she has received appropriate in comparison to the consequences that Jeffree has had to face? Let's explore it a little bit. What has Jaclyn actually done? Over the years, she received various criticisms for obsessively promoting Morphe in an effort to profit not only from her discount code, but also the collaborations. People have also pointed out that she appears to be a bad friend. She's someone who will pull out of a collaboration when something better comes along. And in specific, Jaclyn was going to release an eyeshadow palette with Makeup Geek and Marlena Stell. And that didn't happen. It fell through. Marlena Stell has always been assumed to be and has presented herself in a way where it appears she is a loyal person and a good friend. And from what we know of this collaboration that was supposed to happen, Jaclyn was putting off signing the contract over and over again, not really responding to emails, and then eventually pulled out completely when she signed the deal with Morphe for her first eyeshadow palette collaboration with them. Additionally, Jaclyn has been accused more times than any of us can count of being dishonest, and one of the biggest examples of this would be the Vault collection that she did with Morphe. She hyped it up, it was great, it was incredible, it was amazing, people got PR, the palette came out, and it was bad. The reviews were overwhelmingly negative. It was patchy, it was low quality, people eventually had mold in their palettes, and so Jaclyn, whether this was intentional or not, gave misinformation from what we can gather, you know, whether Morphe told her this or she, you know, knew the actual truth and just decided to go with the lie. Basically, she said, send them back, they're terrible, we're gonna scrap them completely, we're gonna reproduce and send them out. And they did this, I believe, within just a matter of weeks, which would be next to impossible. And people were pulling off labels of the back of their new palettes that they got, revealing that it had the same batch code as the old ones, meaning this is probably the same product, you're just saying that it's new. Morphe said, well, we wanted to keep the components because, you know, we already made them, so we threw away the makeup, refilled them. What's the truth? I don't know. I think they sent out old palettes, but it's completely up in the air. Nothing can be proven from our end anyway. One of our last criticisms is that Jaclyn Hill doesn't really care for her fans anymore. You know, for years, her fans were responsible for her success. That's how it is on YouTube. And so she was consistently uploading, always putting out content, always giving out affiliate codes, doing all that. And then it seemed like she reached a certain level of success where she no longer had to post regularly, keep a consistent schedule. She has enough wealth that she can sustain herself on collaborations, affiliate links, and her old content, getting views and getting the AdSense from that. And so she doesn't have this consistent schedule. She comes back when it's time to sell a new product. That's why they call her Jaclyn Shill. And so it's like, you don't really care about your fans. You only show them that you care about them in the way that they want you to, because she is nice to people on Twitter. Like, she'll interact with her fans there, but like in the way that they are used to and in that large scale way when she's trying to get them to buy her product. Now, the majority of these accusations have just been going on for years. You know, there's nothing really new here. Jaclyn has a bit of a history of being a bad friend, of being shady in her business dealings, and just really overall being out for herself. That's kind of what her reputation has been. But none of these criticisms were really enough to actually have like a massively negative impact on her channel or her personal life. And that was until the release of Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics and the debacle that followed, which was Lipstick Gate. Jaclyn Hill released a collection of nude lipsticks, and they were bad. She was publicly put on blast. She had multiple videos made about her, calling her a liar and a scammer. She was accused of only offering refunds to customers who would agree to sign a clause that prohibited them from taking any legal action against the brand, and just so much more. Now, in my opinion, most of these callouts were warranted. She was selling a contaminated and therefore dangerous product, and she refused to take accountability for it. She put her customers at risk, and she essentially wasted their money, and she didn't make it right for most people. Some people, of course, got refunds, got exchanges. Some people got products that they were happy with. But from what we've heard, from what the public has heard, not everybody was satisfied with the way that she handled it, and she did come on camera and lie and say that they weren't contaminated. Everything is FDA approved. Your little white fuzzies are from the gloves they use to avoid leaving fingerprints. Like, she came on camera and she lied. There's no way of getting around it. There's no like devil's advocate or like looking at it from a different way. Some people got cuts. Like, there was hard plastic in there. There were pieces of metal in there. It wasn't just white fuzzies. She came on camera and she lied. And I think an appropriate consumer response to that would be, okay, she released this product. It was bad and dangerous. She didn't take accountability for it. She's not making it right with her customers. I'm no longer going to support her brand. Like, those are the logical steps that I go through in my head. But of course, because Jaclyn is the face of her brand, it couldn't just stop there. People went after her looks. They criticized her family. They made degrading comments to her nearly every time she posted anything on social media, and in essence, just over and over again reminded her of how much they hated her every time she opened her mouth. And that is a lot for anybody to handle, when a simple solution would be, I don't trust you as a business owner, and I'm not going to support your channel or your content until you make this right. You know, these things don't have to go so hard or be so personal. It can be a very simple thing and a very civil thing of just, hey, you made a mistake, and until you correct it, I can no longer support you. So, ball's in your court. If you would like to make it right, I'd love to see it and I'd love to come back. But if not, then I'm no longer going to be a customer of yours. I'm no longer going to watch your content, use your discount code. Can be very civil. But you know, not everybody thinks like that. And it got so bad that Jaclyn ended up having to leave social media for a few weeks. And in all honesty, I do think Jaclyn Hill is money hungry, and I think she's a little bit proud for her own good. You know, I've talked about this before. I think she could greatly benefit from having like a business mentor, someone who helps her. She could have a PR team. Like, most people, most mainstream celebrities don't do their career alone. They have managers, they have PR reps, they have agents, they have teams. Like, they have people there to help them not only manage their businesses and their business deals, but their public perception as well. And I don't think there's anything wrong in asking for help with that. But back to the point. I think she's a little bit money hungry, which there's nothing wrong with wanting money, but when you're doing it in a dishonest way and you're chasing it at whatever cost necessary, then it has a bit of a negative taste to me. But anyway, money hungry and too proud for her own good. Despite those two characteristics that, in my personal opinion, Jaclyn Hill exhibits, I think overall she's probably a nice person. I think she's probably a decent human being who is goofy and fun and loving to the people that she knows, and I overall think that she's probably pretty nice despite her flaws. Everyone has shortcomings, and if yours are on display in the public eye, they're going to be called out. You're going to have to take accountability if you want to successfully be able to move on. And, you know, she deserves to get criticism for a lot of the things that she has done. But some people aren't happy with just calling out a shortcoming, telling the person what they can do to fix it, giving them the chance, and then letting them redeem themselves. It almost kind of seems like people want to cut as deep as they can when it comes to Jaclyn. And I mean, their ultimate goal, not everybody, but a lot of the people that I've seen, it feels like their ultimate goal is to just get Jaclyn off the platform, to hurt her as hard as they can, be as vicious and evil as they can, and get her out of here. They don't think that she should be allowed to have this massive influence over people. And if that is how those people feel, they don't want to see her have this platform, that's fine. They're entitled to their feeling, but are we seeing the same response when it comes to Jeffree Star? The most common response when I talk about Jeffree Star, and just kind of a general saying that goes around Twitter when other people talk about him too, is, well, like, what has he actually done? You're saying he's a bad person, but what has he actually done? You know, all these things that people are accusing him of or have accused him of are in the past. What did he do? And I do think that for probably about half the people who ask it, it is a valid question. They don't really recognize the things that people are upset about. They don't quite understand that the things that he did in the past have persisted through and are still a part of who he is now. So people, when they hear these criticisms, they say, well, that's his past. You know, that's his past. What has he done? What has he done? Not realizing it's what he's still doing. And I understand being ignorant of who he is as a person and what he is doing, whether it's willful or not. But it's gotten to a point, and I think we reached this point a long time ago, but I was definitely ignorant to it. And so I'm just kind of having the realization within the past few weeks that this ignorance is a privilege that we cannot afford anymore. We cannot hide behind it. We have to address these uncomfortable things head on. And the truth of the matter is that Jeffree is the same person he was 10 years ago. The only difference is that now he has more money and more power. And of course he has more notoriety now, and so he's not making the same decisions he did back then. He's not creating a makeup brand and calling it Lipstick Nazi. He's not posting videos of himself mocking homeless people. But the ignorance and the hate that was behind those actions still exists. Jeffree still uses racist language. And while we may not have heard for ourselves a ton of the directly racist language, people who know him and who have interacted with him have said that he does. He still uses degrading language, and we've definitely heard that. We've heard him use racially insensitive language. We've heard him refer to Black women as various animals like roaches and rats. We have heard Jeffree threaten violence against people. He's threatened violence against women. In specific, one of the most recent examples was telling the owner of Dolls Kill that he wants her to get a rubber bullet in the center of her forehead. And just for clarity, rubber bullets aren't rubber. They're metal wrapped with like a thin polymer coating, and so they are very dangerous. They hurt really bad to be hit with. They can cause permanent damage to your body. They can even kill you depending on where they hit you. So these aren't rubber bullets. It's not like getting hit with like a foam, like an airsoft gun, it's dangerous, it's painful, and regardless of whether these bullets are actual rubber or not, Jeffree Star still wished violence against somebody. It's unacceptable. Additionally, Jeffree is holding on to a voice note from an alleged victim of sexual assault and passing it around to various influencers in the YouTube community like a fun piece of tea, saying, oh, he's a predator, James Charles is a predator, and I can't go to the police and I can't tell you what happened, but I can show you this voice note. I can't do it publicly, I can't say it publicly, you know, they don't want to be known, but you want to hear it? I'll tell you, just don't tell anybody else. He is using someone else's tragic story, if true, for his own personal gain, and if it's not true, then he is blatantly and on purpose falsely accusing James Charles of being a predator, even though in his video last year saying never doing this again, he said he jumped the gun with false information. Moving on. Jeffree talks badly about his friends behind their backs, he delights in the takedown of his competitors, and he refuses to take accountability for the things that he has done in his past. He's somebody who acts like he is outraged anytime people bring up the things he did 10 years ago. He pretends like he's horrified that he could have ever said or done any of those things. They're disgusting. But this act that he puts on, because he'll go on his Snapchat stories or Instagram stories and put on this show, but it's disingenuous because we know that Jeffree doesn't care. If you pay attention to Jeffree, if you're not blinded by how much you like him or how good his makeup is, or, you know, he produced content that made you feel less alone, like whatever it is, because we do have kind of those relationships with the influencers we watch that can blind us to their bad habits or the things that are, you know, toxic or dangerous about them. But if you really look at who Jeffree is, you understand that he doesn't care that he said those hurtful things. He doesn't care that he made racist comments. And it's so blatantly obvious by the fact that he still makes those same comments today. And it doesn't matter to him if he hurts someone's feelings. All that matters to him is that he gets to stand on his imaginary moral high ground and have as much influence over others as possible. Have as much success as possible. Be as big of an influencer as possible. And despite all of the negative things that I have just recapped, he is still one of the largest influencers in the beauty space with one of the most dedicated followings we have ever seen. He always has a group of people coming to support him, coming to back him up, coming to say, why is everybody hating on Jeffree? He's a great person. No matter what he's being accused of, no matter what he's done, whether it's saying something mean about another influencer or whether it's keeping his mouth shut and essentially abandoning Shane Dawson, who just last week told the entire world that Jeffree was like family to him and he loved him. Shane, despite everything he's being accused of, which is horrifying and disgusting, and we've talked about it a lot, so I won't go into it, despite all that, he still had Jeffree's back. Despite us saying, we want you to cut ties, he still had Jeffree's back. And Jeffree has not said a single word in defense of Shane. He's keeping his mouth shut. He's talking about flying to see his grandma's first house. He's meeting fans. He's baking cookies. He has not stood up for Shane. And I don't know that he will. Now, the point of this video is not to compare the transgressions of Jeffree and Jaclyn and say, well, look at these two things, compare them to each other, throw Jeffree into a pit and bring Jaclyn in here as the angel of the beauty world. I'm not saying that his bad acts and bad habits should be some sort of erasure for what Jaclyn has done, because what she did wasn't as bad. But what I am trying to do is understand why we as a collective, you know, as a YouTube community, despite any individual feelings we may have, us as a community, we have essentially vilified Jaclyn Hill for being a bad friend and a bad business owner, all while we're giving Jeffree Star this eternal pass for being a threatening, angry, vengeful bully who is one of the biggest contributors to the bad reputation that the beauty community has. And I think part of it is because we as an audience have not done our job, and that job is to show creators how they will be rewarded for certain behaviors. You know, we reward pettiness and tension and fighting and outrageousness with clicks, views, wealth, growth, all these amazing rewards for these negative behaviors, and we choose not to face the reality of what's actually going on. We hear something upsetting or that makes us feel icky, and if we like the person enough, or we like the product that they create enough, or the past that we have with them, and the hard time that they got us through, whatever it is, whatever that may be, if we like that enough, we turn away from the thing that doesn't make us feel good, from the thing that makes us feel icky, of, oh, well, somebody said that he called this person that word. Well, I didn't hear it, so I can't verify if it exists or not, and I'm not going to let it affect how I feel about this creator because I like them so much. Look at this highlighter, look at this collection, look at this thing that they made. I'm going to focus on this instead. And because of this unwillingness to actually confront these problems that make us feel gross, sometimes we focus on petty issues and ignore the ones that really are pervasive and harmful, and we cancel people over petty things, and we continually focus on people who are easy targets, who are easier to bring down, who maybe people don't like already, and then they find one thing that just solidifies it for them. We continue to dog on them, and we take it out on them instead of focusing on the things that really are harmful, that really are damaging and hurtful to people. And because of this, problematic creators continue to thrive. And something so interesting to me is that while, yes, men do buy makeup, the predominant market, the largest demographic of people who purchase makeup and beauty products are women. And yet we have this just toxic, angry man at the top of the pyramid. And I don't know how that makes sense. I don't know how we give somebody that many passes over and over again and make all these excuses for his behavior, all while we condemn women who have committed offenses for sure, but they're certainly not as vile as his. And that leads to the other part of this whole thing, which is that we hold women to a higher standard than men. And this happens in every industry. It's certainly not exclusive to the beauty industry. It even happens in our personal lives, you know? Women are expected to have their bodies look a certain way, while men get celebrated for having dad bods. It's why in heterosexual households, women are often expected to do the cooking and the cleaning and taking care of the house, even if both partners work full-time. It's why men are believed when they say they have a certain skill or a certain qualification, but women are expected to prove that they actually do. You know, this happens all the time, every day. And this doesn't mean that I hate men. It's just that this is a reality. This is the reality of our patriarchal system as a whole. And obviously, we have made improvements over the years. You know, things have happened. We used to not be able to vote. We used to not really be expected to go to college. Like, things do get better over time. But we do still have a long way to go. And the fact that we go so much harder on Jaclyn than we do on Jeffree. Again, individual people may have handled these situations completely differently. They may have been more willing to forgive Jaclyn. You know, she does still have a business. People bought her highlighters. But she has faced so many more real-life consequences than Jeffree ever has. And so I want to hear what you think about it. Does Jaclyn deserve to be pushed out of the beauty community while Jeffree gets to continue to thrive? Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that Jeffree is a man, Jaclyn's a woman? And do you think we're harder on women overall, especially when it comes to female influencers? Additionally, if you think that this is the case, what can we do to be a part of the solution to these problems? I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions. Leave them in the comment section down below. And while you are doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you are subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. With all that being said, I am going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!